Susan Wright was scanning groceries at checkout lane 7 when she overheard the store owner talking to his accountant 3 lanes over. She wasn't trying to eavesdrop. The store was quiet at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and sound carried in the nearly empty space. "We're bleeding money," the owner said, voice tight with stress. "Revenue down 18% year over year. Can't make rent next quarter. Suppliers threatening to cut us off. The accountant says liquidation is our only option." Susan's hands kept moving automatically, scanning items, milk, bread, cereal, while her mind shifted into a mode she hadn't accessed in 5 years. Revenue analysis, cash flow assessment, operational efficiency evaluation, the kind of financial modeling that had once been her specialty when she'd managed a $500 million portfolio on Wall Street. She'd spent 5 years working this checkout lane for $13 an hour, and in that time, she'd become invisible to everyone in this store. But she'd also been watching, observing, collecting data, and she knew exactly why this store was failing and exactly how to fix it. The question was whether she should stay quiet and let the store close, or reveal that the cashier in lane 7 used to make financial decisions that moved markets. Susan had worked at Patterson's grocery for 5 years, scanning items, bagging groceries, processing payments for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. She wore the standard polyester uniform, maroon vest over a white polo shirt, name tag that said Susan in plain letters. She made $13 an hour, lived in a small studio apartment, and carefully budgeted every expense. The other cashiers treated her as an equal, someone doing the same humble work they were. The customers barely looked at her, treating checkout lanes like self-service kiosks. The store owner walked past her lane dozens of times a week without really seeing her. She was exactly what people expected a middle-aged grocery cashier to be, someone without specialized skills or impressive background, someone who'd probably been doing this kind of work her entire life. What nobody at Patterson's grocery knew was that Susan Wright had spent 15 years as a senior financial analyst at one of Wall Street's most prestigious investment firms. She'd earned her MBA from Columbia, managed portfolios worth hundreds of millions, provided financial recommendations that affected major business decisions. She'd specialized in retail sector analysis, been exceptional at pattern recognition, at seeing inefficiencies others missed. By 42, she was managing a $500 million portfolio and earning a salary most people couldn't imagine. And then her husband, Marcus, had a stroke. Massive, unexpected, left him partially paralyzed. Susan had spent 2 years trying to maintain her Wall Street career while managing his care. When Marcus died 3 years later, Susan had looked at her successful career that had required sacrificing so much time with the person she loved and made a decision. She'd quit Wall Street, moved to a smaller city, and taken the first job she could find that had reasonable hours and no stress. A grocery checkout seemed perfect. Simple work, predictable schedule, no responsibility for business decisions that affected thousands of people. Now, listening to Mr. Patterson discuss bankruptcy, Susan felt something she hadn't felt in 5 years, the immediate analytical response to financial crisis. Her mind automatically started processing the data she'd been unconsciously collecting. Inventory turnover rates, customer traffic patterns, pricing compared to competitors, waste rates, employee scheduling inefficiencies. She'd been scanning groceries and watching this business fail in slow motion, seeing exactly where the problems were. Susan finished with her customer, closed her checkout lane, and walked straight to Mr. Patterson's office. She knocked once, opened the door, and said, "Liquidation is the wrong decision. This store is savable if you're willing to listen to someone who knows what they're talking about." Mr. Patterson looked up from financial statements covering his desk. "Susan, this is a private meeting. You need to—" "Your revenue isn't down because of market conditions," Susan interrupted. "It's down because your operational efficiency is terrible. You're losing money in at least 6 different ways that could be fixed within 90 days. The accountant looked annoyed. "Ma'am, unless you have expertise in 15 years as a senior financial analyst on Wall Street, managed a $500 million portfolio specializing in retail sector operations. I've analyzed hundreds of businesses exactly like this one, and liquidation is premature. She sat down without being invited. Mr. Patterson, you're paying 14% above market rates to your primary distributor. You're losing 8% of inventory to waste because your ordering system doesn't account for actual traffic patterns. Your employee scheduling is inefficient, resulting in labor costs 11% higher than necessary. Your pricing is misaligned with neighborhood demographics. The room was silent. Mr. Patterson stared. How do you know all this? You're a cashier. I've been scanning groceries and running financial analysis in my head for 5 years. Every transaction gives me data. Every shift, I observe inventory, customer behavior, operational patterns. I can't help it. It's how my brain works after 15 years of doing this professionally. She pulled a notepad from her vest pocket. I've been documenting this. Here's a 90-day restructuring plan that would reduce operational costs by 23%, improve inventory efficiency, renegotiate supplier contracts, and realign pricing. Implementation would require approximately $40,000 up front, but would result in positive cash flow within 4 months. The accountant picked up the notepad, started reading, his expression changing from dismissive to surprised. These calculations are... This is professional-level analysis. Columbia MBA, 15 years at Harrison and Partners on Wall Street, specialized in retail sector financial analysis, Susan said, looking at Mr. Patterson. I walked away from that career 5 years ago for personal reasons. I took this cashier job because I needed simple work with predictable hours. But that doesn't mean I stopped knowing how to analyze businesses. Mr. Patterson was reading the notepad now, his expression shifting to hope. This is real? This could actually work? Your business isn't failing because of fundamental problems. It's failing because of fixable operational inefficiencies. You have good location, loyal customer base, adequate capital access if you show a viable turnaround plan. You just need someone who knows how to analyze what's wrong and fix it. She stood up. I'm going back to my register. If you want my help implementing this plan, I'm available. If not, I'll keep scanning groceries until you close. But you should know that liquidation will cost 40 people their jobs and eliminate the only grocery store in this neighborhood. And it's unnecessary. A week later, Susan was working 3 days at the register and 2 days on business restructuring for a consulting rate significantly more than $13 an hour. She renegotiated the distributor contract, reducing costs by 16%. We've been with them for 7 years, Mr. Patterson said, amazed. They always said their prices were competitive. They were lying, Susan said, and you didn't have the data to call them on it. Now you do. Over the next 3 months, Susan restructured inventory management, implementing a system that reduced waste by 60%. She realigned pricing using demographic analysis. She reorganized employee scheduling that reduced labor costs while improving customer service. She implemented technology improvements that cost $30,000 up front, but would save $60,000 annually. Mr. Patterson watched with gratitude and bewilderment. Why didn't you say something before? Why did you just scan groceries for 5 years when you could have been... Because 5 years ago, I needed to not be responsible for business outcomes. I needed work that ended when my shift ended, that didn't follow me home, that didn't keep me up at night. After what I went through with my husband's illness, I couldn't handle that weight anymore. She looked at the financial spreadsheets. But watching this store fail while knowing I could prevent it, that turned out to be its own kind of weight. So I guess I learned that you can walk away from a career, but you can't walk away from expertise. It follows you, and sometimes you have to decide whether to keep pretending you don't have it. 6 months later, Patterson's Grocery was profitable for the first time in 3 years. Revenue was up, costs were down, customer traffic increasing. Mr. Patterson had paid off debts and was planning modest expansion. The other cashiers knew Susan did business stuff 2 days a week, but most still thought of her primarily as the co-worker in Lane 7. Some customers who'd been coming for years still didn't know the woman scanning their groceries had saved the store. And Susan was fine with that. She'd learned that you didn't have to choose between being the cashier and being the financial analyst. You could be both. You could scan groceries on Monday and restructure business operations on Tuesday. You could wear a polyester vest and also prevent bankruptcy. The difference was integration, balance, and the understanding that expertise didn't have to consume your entire life to still matter when it was needed. Some skills didn't disappear just because you stopped using them for 5 years. Some knowledge stayed sharp even when deliberately set aside. And sometimes the most important financial analysis happens not in a Manhattan office tower, but in a grocery store checkout lane where someone who's supposed to be invisible decides to stop pretending she doesn't see exactly what's wrong and exactly how to fix it. If you enjoyed this story of hidden brilliance and the power of underestimated expertise, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash that like button for more powerful stories of people who prove that age is just a number and that the most dangerous capabilities often hide behind the most ordinary appearances. What would you do? Stay silent and protect your peace, or reveal yourself to save people who disrespected you? Drop your thoughts below. Where are you watching from? Let us know your country in the comments. We love hearing from our amazing community around the world.